Hello, Boldarians, and welcome back to Boldly Becoming, the space where we explore what it means to live your best life relentlessly, love yourself unconditionally, and walk boldly in your purpose. I'm your host, Kenyatta, and today's conversation is one I've been eager to have for a while. We're talking about rest, but not just the take a nap kind of rest. We're talking about rest as a lifestyle, rest as a mindset, and rest as a quiet rebellion against the constant pressure to hustle. And we're also going to look how hustle culture creeps into places we don't always notice, like our beauty standards, the way we dress, speak, and even behave, and how embracing simplicity can be a form of freedom. I'm joined today by someone very special to me, and those that have been walking with us for a while when we were Relentless Thursday podcast, y'all know I have my family that comes on. Y'all met my mom, y'all met my sister, and now I want to introduce you guys to my Aunt Pam, who I deeply admire for the way she balances faith, intentionality, and joy in her life. Auntie, thank you for being here. Before we dive in, when you hear the word rest, what comes to mind for you?
Well, first of all, Kenyatta, thank you for having me on this podcast. This visit has been amazing. But for me, rest could be creating a full day just for me to do whatever I feel like doing, not being on anyone's timeline. It may be a home facial, a pedicure, sitting on my porch with a book and a glass of wine, or laughing with some friends over a few glasses of wine, Sometimes I do like wine. Sometimes I don't even know that I'm rest. I don't know what rest looks like until I'm actually in it. Everything doesn't have to be planned all the time.
That is so true. Now, when I say hustle culture, I'm talking about that mindset that glorifies being busy all the time, where your worth is measured by how much you can do, how fast you can do it, and how little you stop to rest. For me, it looks like saying yes too much and even feeling guilty when I take that time to slow down. Now, Aunt Pam, I want to know, have you had a season where your hustle culture was running the show in your life?
Well, in actuality, I can probably say no. And the reason that I say that is because my journey started as a child. When we had to work in the garden, when we got out of school, finish our homework, beat the street lights on before, get home before those street lights came on. So the rhythm carried into my adult life. So I didn't really see it as a pressure. It was just a way of life for us. But as I got older, I realized that I could slow it down just a little bit, pace myself, also spread it out just a little bit because everything doesn't have to be done in one day. So I learned to keep my system for staying organized, which actually gave me more time to do some of the things that I wanted to do and to relax a little bit more. But as far as the pressure, I didn't actually realize that I was probably in pressure until, I stopped to think about it. But as I said initially, it was just a way of life for us when we was coming up.
Now that is so real. And I think what's sneaky about hustle culture is how it creeps into how we present ourselves to the world. Now I've been thinking a lot about how beauty standards are their own form of hustle. The pressure to always look polished, to keep up with trends, and to be camera ready. Now, I'm not talking about, of course, we like to look good. We want to, present ourselves nicely, but sometimes we can get really obsessed with that. So that's what I'm talking about, that always look polished type. And it can be very exhausting. Have you ever felt that?
Most definitely. But you know what? Even then, when I was coming up and now as well, especially for women, pressure has just always been a path for us to follow. There's always been examples that they want us to look a certain way, be a certain way, dress a certain way. But honestly, I didn't really concern myself with it back then, and I definitely don't do it now. Trends are always going to come and go. You just have to find what fits you. And just because a trend come out doesn't necessarily mean that it's for you. So, if you see somebody that has something that looks nice, and give them a compliment and you keep it moving, but it doesn't mean that trend is going to be for you. So you have to be able to specify and understand what is best for you, so that way you can, do your own cute thing. But I know there's, for me, it's okay not to follow the trends all the time.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That is such a refreshing perspective, especially for our day and age in 2025 in this generation. Now, knowing what works for you and sticking to it. I think that's one of the gifts of your generation. You didn't grow up with social media, so you had space to figure it out and what you like without the constant noise that we have in this generation when it comes to technology and social media. Now, my generation, or maybe even generations younger than me, because I feel like we on that cusp in my generation, because I'm not that young, but it feels very loud. Social media has us in this 24/7 cycle of comparison. Like, we're not just living, we're performing. We're curating images, checking likes, trying to keep up, and it can make life feel like it's another full-time job. And that's where I see a real generational difference. You had freedom. It's from my opinion, my standpoint of my view from the outside. You had freedom from that constant pressure while we've had to work to reclaim that same kind of freedom. Do you notice that difference, Aunt Pam, between how you approached beauty and lifestyle choices growing up compared to what you see people dealing with today?
Well, sure. I mean, you're absolutely right. We didn't have technology the way you guys have it now. And the technology that you guys have right now, you got to think about the generation that's going to be coming in behind you. And the pressures that you guys are feeling, what do you say to that? Because, you got people with the filters, you got people that's not having true conversations. You also have, people having conversations via texting versus actual conversations. So yeah, I can see how that pressure would be kind of mundane for the generations that come behind me. Even to the pictures that you put on social media, or the conversations that you share with people that you don't even know on social media. And I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying that's something that I cannot relate to, because that wasn't a part of my era. But I mean, even with the part of people taking pictures of themselves and they filter it and it doesn't even look like them. So it's just amazing to me as far as what technology can, it can be a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it can also be a downfall. So you just have to pick and choose what fits for you and your family, your children. I would tell you to please just be careful with that and don't let it totally consume you. And I know it's so easy that it can become consuming, but just be careful with it. But yeah, of course, I do see the difference between what your generation have to deal with versus my generation had to deal with. But at the same time, it's just what's happening in this world right now. And it can be a pro and a con, and everything has a pro and a con. So I look at it from the standpoint to where, when I get a new phone, I have to come to you or Sharice or somebody to help me figure it out, because that's the technology, that's what you guys do. But at the same time, if we got in a real bind, you may have to come to me for a rotary phone, a motor, it just kind of depends. You have to take the pros and cons and take it for what it's worth. So to answer your question, of course, I do see that, how that can be different.
And that's where I think simplicity becomes such a relief. Stripping away the performance, the pressure, the noise, to just live authentically. And you guys know, Boldly Becoming, I am all about being authentic, being our true selves. All the noise, all the social media, all that is going to come, it's going to go, right? We may not think it's going anywhere, but we can't take it to the graves with us. It doesn't identify our character, it doesn't identify those things. So being authentic can be very important, and I think simplicity is a start of that. Now for me, simplicity means choosing what's true to me, not what's trendy. That might look like favorite outfits that feel right, or slowing down in my words, which I had to just practice right there, as y'all can see. Now, how does simplicity show up for you, Aunt Pam?
Well, simplicity shows up for me. What it looks like for me is doing what I want to do versus what I feel like I have to do. And there are some things that I do have to do, and I understand that. But simplicity is when you get to that point to where you're doing exactly what you want to do. And it may not happen every day, but every now and again, you can carve yourself a spot to where you can keep it simple and do just what is pleasing to you. If it's no more than for a day or for a few hours. But you have to find simplicity somewhere in your life in order to just keep it level.
Yeah, and I think having that balance, I think simplicity give us that. But I think sometimes as a culture and just where we're at now in society, we confuse simplicity with easy. Like, I just want everything to be simple. Really, we're saying I want everything to be easy, but we have to actually work for that simplicity. We got to engrave it into our system, put it into practice. And it doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. It's like, I want to do what I want to do, but there are things I got to do what I have to do too. My saying, like to say, I work hard so I can play hard. That's my simplicity. I work hard to play hard. That I know that, hey, I'm going to do what I need to do so that way the rest of what I got to do get going on is going to go smoothly. Where it takes away that stress, which I think sometimes we get into this hustle culture that stress makes me feel like, okay, I can't do anything. I can't slow down. I can't have a simple life. Simplicity does not mean boring. It can be really, really great and just as fun and adventurous as always having something to do. Now, Pam, I have to say this. I've always loved your style. You've been consistent over the years, never trying to chase every trend, but still looking timeless and beautiful. I remember you telling me when I was younger that simplicity will always work, and that advice stuck with me. You've shown me that beauty isn't in doing the most, but in being confident in who you are. And I know you've always been my style mentor. And I don't know, you guys don't know this, but my aunt came to visit me. So we're recording while she's here visiting in Texas, while we're having a good time and showing her everything around in the city. And she went and picked out a few outfits for me this weekend while we went out. Very simple, very elegant. It wasn't too much, and I loved it. But this is my aunt. That's why I love her style. I trust her when she says, hey, try this brown with this, try that, wear your hair up, let's use a scarf as a belt. The small things that I would have never put together by myself because I just don't have that eye, but my aunt does. And so I've got to ask you this. When it comes to fashion, what are some staples you think every woman or even every man should have in their closet that are classic and simple?
Kenyetta, thank you so much for that compliment. But I just try to be true to myself. As I initially indicated before, everything is not for everybody. But I'm pretty confident with what I feel that looks okay with me. I think beauty is something that you have to be able to see it when you look in the mirror at yourself. My idea of keeping it simple and beautiful is just, enhancing what you already have. You don't have to wear a lot of makeup to feel like you're being fashionable. You don't have to, sometimes you have to improvise. I don't have a belt that color, but I think I got a scarf in the closet that will rock it. So it's just a matter of figuring out what works for you. And sometimes I would give, just like you was very receptive, and I appreciate that. But when we went out, I was like, okay, well, do you have a belt for this? You were like, well, I don't think I have one for that. I said, well, I think I got the scarf in the suitcase. That way you can wear it with the skirt or whatever. But, I think just a matter of enhancing what you already have. God gave you everything that you need in order to be the person that you need to be. But there's nothing wrong with enhancing what you got. Add a little eyeliner to make the eye look a little, sexier or what have you. But yeah, I think it's just important to enhance what you got, but don't overdo it. Because the thing about it is, like, even if you're looking in a room, and I'm going to give you this example, you can have all the most expensive things in one room, and it can be beautiful, and you can have so much in there, and it can be very pricey. But you know what? If you're looking in that room and you have so much in there, you don't know what to look for. But if you minimize it and you clear some of that stuff out, then everything that you want people to see will be, you can see that. So that's what I mean by keeping it simple. It doesn't have to be an overkill. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I've been trying to get my aunt to be an interior decorator. I think she needs to be a fashionista. I think she needs to do something. If y'all could just give her the hookup, anyone out there who knows the people that she can talk to, because my aunt is a genius at it. But I love that, because when we strip away the extra and stick with what's simple and classic, we free up so much energy for the things that really matter. We spend so much time on things that don't matter at all. We got to stop doing that. Let's keep it simple. Now, I think this is the part that flips the script. Rest isn't laziness. It's resistance. What's one way you resist hustle culture in your daily life?
Well, embracing rest and simplicity has allowed me to reflect and not deflect. Life is too short to have regrets. So it's helped me to see the glass half full versus seeing it half empty. I try not to worry about things that I can't change. And, At the end of the day, you have to be able to look at a situation and just know that as bad as sometimes things can be for you, there's always someone that would much rather walk in your shoes than their own. Because at the end of the day, at the very end of the day, you guys, it can always be worse. And that's what I mean by looking at that glass half full. Because, as bad as sometimes you think it is, trust me, it can always be worse. So just try to look at it half full.
That's powerful. I hope you guys, I know I didn't tell y'all this time to get a paper and pen out, but I hope y'all taking notes and getting these nuggets, because I know I am. Because for me, rest is very important. It's not a luxury for me. It's not something I just do because I'm really, really tired or to do this. No, it's a necessity and it's part of my daily routine. So for me, it looks like unplugging after 8 p.m. or starting my mornings in prayer. And so I think scripture also reminds us of this too. Even Jesus himself rested. In Mark 6, verse 31, he tells his disciples, "Come with me by yourself to a quiet place and get some rest." Rest, again, isn't laziness. It's sacred. It's God's reminder that our worth isn't our hustle, but in him. Now, I want to leave listeners, Aunt Pam, with something simple they can try this week, like choosing one thing to simplify. So, Aunt Pam, if you could give one piece of advice to someone, even if it's a few little nuggets, some more nuggets you got in your pocket, but what advice would you give someone who's tired of the hustle and for approval?
Well, I would tell you, first of all, to be kind to yourself. Treat yourself well. Take care of your mental health. Surround yourself with like-minded people, and also people that you can learn from and that can learn from you. Everybody has something to offer. What you put into the universe is going to come back to you. So all I can tell you is, set the scene and step into your role.
Oh, that's just so beautiful. And I'll add, your worth isn't your hustle or appearance, but in who you are when you're at peace and authentic. So Boldarians, I hope this conversation gave you permission to slow down, simplify, and just be. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who needs that same reminder. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Aunt Pam, you will always be welcome to come back. So you might hear her again before this season is over. I don't know, we'll see. But thank you so much for coming out.
My pleasure.
Until next time, keep becoming, keep resting, and keep showing up boldly.